high school, but I couldn't understand completely because I didn't know Japanese. So my English grammar is really, really like poor, I think, because I learned English grammar in Japanese, which I couldn't even understand.
Yeah.
And then like I couldn't really understand English grammar either because so it's just really so like my high school education, it's a little bit like I think poorer than anyone else because I couldn't understand the Japanese.
Yeah, because you were trying to learn English and Japanese
Yeah.
while you were trying to learn
Yeah.
Japanese at the same time.
So it's really a special case for me. I think not many people like
Yeah,
experience
that would be
that.
very hard, I think. But would you say that you're like an English speaker that would be able to write more proficiently than you would be able to speak, or speak more proficiently than you'd be able to write?
Right now, I think maybe. Well, like before I come here, when I was in college in Japan, I hung out with a lot of international students because like I understand their feeling and stuff. So like I always help them, and then a lot of international students from like America and other countries. So like I actually have like lots of opportunity to use English.
Yeah.
So I kind of like build my speaking skills at that time, and now I'm more like focusing on writing and reading. So like in daily communication, I think I can do it, but like it's limited. Like I just use the same things all the time. Seems like just like use same phrases, whatever. And for the writing and reading, like since I'm in like graduate school, they give me a lot of homework and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think I am now more right. I can write better probably if I spend a lot of time.
Because I know,
guess.
like, just in our language classes that we have here in the U.S., we obviously don't take as many as we should because I think we should be more multilingual. But we focus so much on actually the grammar and the structures and everything. Like I could write and I could read French 100 times better than I could ever speak French.
Yeah.
Just because I'm not used to the conjugations and things like that.
Yeah.
Whereas I could write them out, but I couldn't think off the top of my head and speak them out. So I don't know. I guess that's kind of the same thing. That
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah, it is.
But now for testing, we have to ask this question because in the U.S. we do a lot of standardized testing. You know?
Yeah.
Now, did you have to take tests, like standardized tests? I
Yeah.
don't know what kind of standardized
Yeah.
tests Japan has, or even to get into IUP. Like, what did you have to do?
Well, in Japan we have the entrance exam for the
Okay.
college, and I think for high school too. So we focusing a lot on to standard exam. So they just kind of like sit and like study for it pretty much like when we were in high school, and so I took that standard exam, but we have different ways to get into college as well. For special like since I wasn't like Japanese, like I took the exam and then like did interview and stuff, so I
Okay.
can get like more credit like for it because, and then getting IUP, I had to take TOEFL test, which is like the biggest test ever to come to the United States, and then I have to have recommendations and interviews, and I had to write an essay. So I didn't have to take like GRE for this, but like I had to take a TOEFL
Now,
test.
your test in Japanese, your test in Japan, was it completely in Japanese?
Yeah.
And by that time, were you considered like proficient in Japanese? So it was easier for you?
Well, not easy.
Not-
It depends on the subject. Like math and English, I can do it.
Yeah.
But like history, like Japanese history, like I had to study a lot for it. And then like of course the Japanese, like English class. So I had to like study a lot for it. And even though I studied a lot, like it's just kind of like difficult for me. And then I really liked word histories and other like biology, chemistry, those are pretty much same, I guess. Like, yeah.
Now that, what was the test, the
TOEFL test.
TOEFL test? Was that in English or was that,
That's
okay,
like English like you're testing.
Okay.
Like, they're testing like
to see
my
your proficiency
English
in English?
proficiency.
Okay. Now, was that like off the wall, or was it standard things that you should know,
Well,
or was it a combination of?
it is like it's like 4 hours test, and then you have like speaking, listening, reading, writing. And the speaking is we kind of have to speak like making like short arguments or something like that, and then maybe like have, and then like summary we have to say. That was like part of the speaking. And listening, we have two different sections. We have academic section and then like daily conversation section. So they like test us through the listening. And then reading passages are like really random, like chemistry stuff or like history, like all the just different passages and like different academic like story from the textbook, I think. And then writing, we have to write a like kind of essay about the argument or about the statement or something like that. So it's
Yeah, it sounds horrible. I would not want to take it. Now you're teaching Japanese right now, correct? So how's that with knowing Korean and Japanese and English? Do you ever get anything all jumbled or?
Yeah, like beginning of the semester, like I couldn't really speak, like in general, like I can't really speak both languages at the same time because it's totally different skills. Even though I can speak Japanese, like some Korean asked me to like translate this to Japanese, I have to think actually because I'm not like, my brain is just all about like Korean or like English. So like translation is like pretty difficult. So when I started like teaching in Japanese class, it was really difficult for me to like use English as in like instruction and then like sometimes like use Japanese, like both languages is pretty difficult. And then my English sounds more like Japanese, I think, even like intonation, like all
Just
this
because
stuff.
you learned in Japan?
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess I feel like I have like switch in my brain. So like if you talk to me English, I can only speak English. Like,
Okay.
yeah, if Japanese, my Japanese friend that asked me talk to me in Japanese, it's kind of hard to speak English back to them, or like Korean.
Just because of the translating you have to do, like in your brain. Okay.
So it takes a while to like switch,
Yeah.
like my brain, I guess.
'Cause,
Like
yeah. So many, like for the structures, obviously they're different, but do you feel like one language has a structure that is more complicated than another, or is it just they're different so it doesn't matter?
They're just different. Doesn't
Okay.
matter, I guess. But I mean, like Japanese structure and Korean structure, like we share like some similar stuff too. In Japanese English, we have similar, but like in general, those are like really different. So like my students having hard time to make sentences because it's just really different for them. And even though I explain them, they can't really get it because they don't even know how English sentence structure works.
Yeah.
So if I explain, okay, English you have verb in the what's subject here, they don't even know what's subject in the sentence in English.
Now, are
sentence.
most of the students in your Japanese class, are they English students?
Yeah, they're
English
all
speakers?
they're all
Okay.
American. I have like 2 and 3 Chinese students.
Okay. We were talking about that today, Heidi and I, in our structures class, about how like we don't even know the structure of our own language. So it is so complicated if you get down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
So that's why everyone says it's so hard to learn English, but like for you it wasn't any more difficult to learn English than it would be to learn Japanese. Except for the fact that you were taught English when you were learning Japanese.
Yeah. Well, I think Japanese, for the Japanese, like once I like